everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Welcome to Vickie's Country Home. It's still harvest and I am getting still a lot of things that need to be put up. I'm canning a lot, but I'm also doing some other things to preserve food. And the whole idea behind preserving food is you need to make sure that there's no bacteria or microbes, bad bacteria or microbes that can get in the food and spoil it and make you sick or worse. And there could be worse. So one of the ways that our ancestors preserved food, and this goes back, way back, is with salt. And there's different ways of using salt to preserve. You can dry it with salt, but there's also fermenting. And I showed you recently my tomatoes, which are looking beautiful, by the way, and bubbling away, which is exactly what we want to see, because that bubbling tells us that it is fermenting. And again, put a dish under it because it's going to seep out and you don't want to mess on your counter or floor or anywhere else. So I had a question very recently that someone asked, is there a way to do this fermenting process with a lot less salt? You could maybe go a little bit less, but again, you're doing this to preserve it, to keep the bad bacteria and microbes out. So I decided today I'm going to show you how a little more scientifically to come up with salt, and then there's a range that you could consider safe. I'd rather go mid-range. There's less chance that the food will go bad and then you've lost all of it. So I'd rather have that little bit more salt just to be safe. And you basically are looking between 2% and 3% net weight of your products that are in the jar. So today I'm going to preserve, I have lots of peppers coming in and different kinds, but mostly these are serrano and jalapeno, but I have ancho, Fresno, Anaheim. They're catching up and I need to do something with them. And I'm gonna can some, but I've already got some canned peppers left over from last year, so I don't want to do a ton of those. These are gonna be a little bit different and I think Brian's gonna like them a lot. But I also have a whole lot of these little sun gold tomatoes. These are my favorite little cherry type tomato. They have intense flavor and they are sweet. And so I walk out in the garden to harvest or do anything and I'm picking them off the bush and popping them in my mouth because they're so good. I keep a bowl handy in the kitchen. We go by and eat it. But we're still getting a lot. They're slowing down, but we're still getting them. So I've got the peppers, I've got these little sun gold tomatoes, and I thought, you know, I always put oregano in my canned peppers. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna put some fresh oregano. And this is blooming, and I'm not sure what that's gonna do to it, but it's gonna be pretty with all these colors, and I'm putting them in there just like this. So I've washed everything well, and let me show you how to go about this a little more scientifically so that if you choose to go less salt, you can do so and make an informed decision. The first thing you need to do if you're going to do this with the scientific method for how to put the right amount of salt in here, you're going to need to weigh it with a scale as you put your ingredients in. Now, I don't know if our ancestors did all that, but we've learned since then too, so I choose to do it safer way, and we're going to weigh it. So you put your jar on there and you zero out the scale or tare it so it is not counting the weight of the jar. And then you start adding your ingredients. So I've got some cloves of garlic that I basically peeled and cut in half. I've got some pretty oregano from my garden, and whenever I can peppers, I like to put oregano in there. That just is a good flavor for it. And then you just start adding your ingredients. I want to be able to see those flowers. Now I don't know if the flowers are going to be a problem or not, but I just thought, you know what, they're going to be pretty, so we're going to do that. And just start adding the ingredients. Then I'm going to do some peppers, and then I'm going to do some tomatoes. Just mixing them up. I think I'm going to trim that oregano just a bit. Just so it'll stay submerged better. That will do it. Man, damn. Now I have a mixture here of jalapeno and serrano. There's probably some Fresno mixed in, small ones. And this would do better with a funnel, but you know what? I didn't put one out, so we're just gonna wing it. And you know what? This is pretty close. I just guessed at this amount. That's in there pretty well. It's not packed, but it doesn't have to be. We're going to use filtered water because you do not want any chlorine in there. So filtered, bottled, whatever you have. Now I'm reading here that I have 13.1 ounces of ingredients. Now we're going to add water. Basically to cover it all. And I'm going to have a weight on there so they're going to stay submerged, but that looks like the right amount of water. Now I'm going to change this to just ounces just to make it easier on myself. Or grams. Grams are easy, ounces, either one. So I've got 798 grams of water and produce. So now I'm going to put my empty measuring cup there. And I'm going to take my calculator and multiply 798 grams, so you can see it, times 0.025. That would be 2.5%. And so I need 19.95 grams of salt. So basically 20 grams of salt for this. So I have this zeroed out, and I'm going to add 20 grams. And you know what? That was 22, so we're just a tiny bit over. Okay. There we go, 20 grams. See, it's not that much salt. Now to that, I'm going to add the water from the jar. You could just put the salt into the jar with the water, but it's not going to be dissolved well. And I'm not going to worry about it being 100% dissolved because it will continue, but mostly dissolved. And you can see that's pretty much it. And those little things in it are the flowers. I'm not worried about those. So now we're going to add the water back. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? We have the flowers and all the pepper colors and the tomatoes. Now again, it needs to stay submerged. So I'm going to put that weight on top. Now if you don't have weights, and I mentioned this in my last video also, the other method I use is take, and I like to use freezer bags that are a little bit heavier, put some water in it, and just push this over the top to make sure everything stays submerged. And I have done that before, but this time, again, I've got these weights and they just do such a good job. And I've got a plastic lid and you want it left loose. Now I'm going to tighten it a little to show you, but that's what I've done. And I'm really excited about it. I think these are going to be really good. So again, I'm going to loosen it. I'm going to put it in a dish and I'm going to let this sit for probably at least 3 weeks, maybe 4. And then I'll taste it somewhere along the line to see if it's where I want it to be. But if you want to do it with less salt, this is a safe way to do it. You can guess like I've done on other things, but for this 0.025 multiplied by the weight of the water and the ingredients will give you the amount of salt to use. And no matter what size jar or how much you put in there, this will work for you. You can also go up to 3%, 0.03, or down to 2.02. But I'm doing 2.5, and I'll come back in a few weeks and give y'all an update on my fermented vegetables, but I'm really excited about them. So thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. I'm always learning. That's what I love. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. If you have questions, be sure and comment below. God bless, and we'll talk soon.